The weight of embarrassment. We have all felt it. That overwhelming flood of heat rising through your chest, creeping up to your face, a visceral tightening in your throat. It's the feeling of exposure, of being seen in a way that violates the image we wish to project. The sting of embarrassment. But what is this feeling? Why do we, as conscious beings, permit such a trivial thing as someone else's opinion or a momentary misstep to control our inner state so completely? In this reflection, we are not going to simply address embarrassment as a fleeting emotion. No, we will dismantle it, piece by piece, to understand its roots, its illusions, and how it can be eliminated from the depths of your being forever. Not through mere avoidance or suppression, but through mastery, through an internal transformation that aligns with the core of Stoic philosophy. We will become unshakable, because the true Stoic does not succumb to the fleeting judgments of others. Embarrassment is a falsehood, and today we shall see through its veil. The nature of embarrassment, a phantom construct. Embarrassment is an illusion, a product of misplaced values. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and perhaps one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Why should the opinion of others have such power over us? Why do we allow the thoughts and judgments of others, so often fleeting and irrelevant, to dictate how we perceive ourselves?" To be embarrassed is to place your self-worth in the hands of external forces, something entirely outside your control. A Stoic, a true philosopher, seeks to disentangle their sense of value from such externalities. Embarrassment is rooted in ego and attachment to social standing, both of which have no place in a disciplined, self-reliant mind. Embarrassment arises when we forget one of the cardinal Stoic principles. What is outside of us cannot harm our essence. The approval or disapproval of others is an external event. It is indifferent, much like the rain or the wind. Can we control the rain? No, but we can control our response to it. In the same way, we cannot control what others think, but we can control whether or not we let those thoughts disturb our inner peace. Epictetus, another towering figure in Stoicism, urged us to remember that we are disturbed not by things, but by the views we take of them. What then? Is embarrassment but a false view? A distortion that we must straighten. Shifting the internal perspective, control what you can. When we face the threat of embarrassment, we must ask ourselves, what can I control in this situation? The core Stoic principle is the clear division between what is within our power and what is not. Embarrassment stems from a failure to observe this distinction. We cannot control what others think or say, but we can control our own thoughts, actions, and responses. Seneca, in his letters to Lucilius, tells us, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have." Embarrassment often stems from a fear of how others will react in the future, or a shame about how they perceive us now. In other words, it is a form of anticipation or regret. Both are illusions. They do not exist in the present, the only time we have control over. By focusing solely on what is within our power, we remove the fuel that feeds embarrassment. This is how we begin to dismantle the sensation. If others ridicule you, does it change who you are in essence? If you stumble in front of an audience, does it diminish your core self? No. It is only the mind that believes it does. And that belief, once examined, begins to dissolve. The illusion of perfection, embracing human flaws. To be embarrassed is to believe in the myth of perfection, that there exists some flawless version of ourselves that must be upheld at all costs. But this is fantasy. Perfection is unattainable, and more importantly, it is unnecessary. The Stoics taught that the path to virtue is not in appearing flawless, but in accepting and learning from our imperfections. Marcus Aurelius wrote, If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. We have the power to revoke the belief that we must appear perfect, that we must never make mistakes, that we must live up to some societal image of flawlessness. When we embrace our flaws, our stumbles, and our missteps, we strip embarrassment of its power. There is no longer a discrepancy between who we are and who we are pretending to be. We are human, and humans err. The Stoic doesn't fear error, but rather welcomes it as a teacher. Each mistake is an opportunity to practice self-control, fortitude, and humility. The power of indifference, freeing yourself from social approval. The Stoics placed great emphasis on the concept of indifference, not to be confused with apathy. Stoic indifference is about recognizing what truly matters and discarding what does not. In the case of embarrassment, social approval and external validation are irrelevant to the Stoic. True worth comes from within, from living a life in accordance with virtue, not from the fleeting praise or judgment of others. Epictetus emphasized this when he said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Embarrassment is not the event itself, but our reaction to the event. It is the meaning we assign to it. By practicing indifference to the opinions of others, we rob embarrassment of its primary weapon, fear of judgment. A Stoic, grounded in virtue and internal worth, does not sway with the shifting winds of public opinion. We stand firm, rooted in principles that cannot be shaken by the whims of society. The practice of self-reflection, building inner strength. To overcome embarrassment, we must first become deeply acquainted with ourselves. The Stoics regularly practiced self-reflection, often at the end of each day. They would examine their thoughts, actions, and emotions, analyzing where they succeeded and where they faltered. This habit builds a fortress of self-awareness that embarrassment cannot penetrate. Marcus Aurelius, in his meditations, would frequently remind himself of his own mortality, of the fleeting nature of human life. He understood that in the grand scheme of existence, the trivial concerns of social embarrassment were laughable. We too must keep this perspective. The judgments of others, the missteps we make, these are insignificant in the face of the vastness of the universe and the brevity of our time within it. By cultivating a habit of self-reflection, we gain insight into our fears and anxieties. We can observe where embarrassment has taken root in our minds and slowly, methodically uproot it. Fortitude in action, embracing the public eye. The final step in transcending embarrassment is not avoidance, but fortitude. We must face the situations that cause us to feel exposed, not with dread, but with resolve. Fortitude is one of the 4 cardinal virtues of Stoicism, and it is essential in overcoming embarrassment. When we feel the stirrings of embarrassment, we must see it as a challenge, a test of our inner strength. Seneca once wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Each moment of potential embarrassment is an opportunity to practice fortitude, to prove to ourselves that we are not governed by the opinions of others, but by the values we hold. The true Stoic does not shrink from the public eye. We embrace it, knowing that whatever embarrassment may come, it cannot touch the core of who we are. We are not fragile beings whose worth can be diminished by a single misstep. We are unbreakable. The Stoic's path beyond embarrassment. Embarrassment is a chain that binds the soul, but it is a chain made of illusions. It is the product of misplaced values, of caring too deeply about the opinions of others and too little about the truth of who we are. A Stoic recognizes this and takes deliberate steps to break free. By understanding the nature of embarrassment, shifting our perspective, embracing our flaws, practicing indifference, engaging in self-reflection, and cultivating fortitude, we can transcend embarrassment entirely. We become free from the tyranny of judgment, free from the fear of exposure, and free to live in accordance with our true values. Let us walk this path together, with our heads high and our hearts fortified. For embarrassment is a phantom, and we, those who follow the Stoic way, are the masters of our inner world. In the end, remember the words of Marcus Aurelius: "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." And to live, truly live, is to cast aside the trivial worries of embarrassment and stand tall in the face of all that life throws at us. We are more than our missteps. We are beings of immense inner strength, and that is something no moment of embarrassment can ever take away.